Hey folks, Paul here, and today I thought I would just share with you one of my favourite primitive fire techniques. This is a Handrill technique. Handrill is a form of friction fire which involves you rubbing two materials together. Normally sticks, that's where that old cliche comes from, but in this case I'm using a piece of Chaga, and I'm also using an elder spindle. Now the good thing about this is it's known as the Notchless Handrill, so for those of you that have done bow drill or handrill in the past, normally what you have to do is cut a little notch to collect the dust that forms when you're doing this. And that dust collects and collects, and then the tip of the spindle manages to touch that dust and ignite it. But to do that you have to cut the notch very precisely, and it requires a bit of knife skill and a bit more work. Whereas in this case you can see I haven't cut any notches, I'm just hand drilling straight into the Chaga. Chaga, again, for those of you that aren't aware, is a mushroom that grows primarily on birch. It's a parasitic mushroom, grows in the northern hemisphere, and you can find it sort of all along the boreal strip. But it's very, very dense, very slow growing. And so once you hand drill into it and you get enough heat in there, and Chaga itself is renowned for being very proficient at carrying embers anyway, once you get enough heat in there, you can actually get the mushroom itself to smoulder without having to cut any notches. The trick is to get it nice and hot and then quickly pull the spindle out to allow air to rush in there and ignite all the charred material at the bottom. So when I'm rubbing that stick in there, what I'm doing is creating a lot of heat via friction and speed, and that's charring the material in the bottom of that hole. Now that charred material will light very easily when introduced to oxygen. For those of you that have used something like charcloth before, you'll be familiar with how readily charred material lights. So you can see here I've got it lit, and obviously you wouldn't want to use a big piece of mushroom like that to start a fire, because the piece I've got in my hand there probably took a year or two to grow. So what you do is you break off these smaller pieces, ignite them, they'll smoulder away for quite a while. That piece in my hand there would probably smoulder for about 5 minutes, which gives you some idea of how dense it is. And you break off a few of those pieces and you light them from the bigger piece. Now, one of the cool things about this is, whereas regular handrill or friction fire in general, the embers you produce are often very light. They're made of wood dust, which is quite fine, and they tend to burn out in maybe 3 or 4 minutes if you're lucky. So you have quite a short window. Whereas, as you can see there, I've just put that big mushroom down, and it will continue to smoulder, and that piece would smoulder for 3 or 4 hours. So I have produced an ember, and now I'm in no rush to make a fire. I can take all the time I need to process my materials and get everything as it should be, and it's sort of like an insurance. So you don't have to go through the effort. If your bundle fails, and you'll see here mine almost did, if your bundle fails, then you don't have to go through the effort again of trying to make an ember. You've already got one sitting there. So again, another benefit of the notchless handrill technique into Chaga. Here I'm blowing into what is a bundle of hops, so a sort of viney type bundle. It's very coarse, very wide, very open weaved, if you like. So I had a bit of a difficult time getting the ember to catch into it, and you'll see that in the video here. So again, if this bundle had failed, and it was close to failing, which is a sign that I need to do a bit more practice, then I could come back to that. But all in all, very effective technique. Had fire in less than 5 minutes, and the materials I can carry around very easily. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of this, and I hope you enjoyed.